Hi there, welcome to this lesson on how to write a basic 5-paragraph essay. My name is Luis Silva and I am an educator, I am a teacher, and I teach social studies, anything that has to do with world history, US history, and European history, as well as Latin American history. And today I want to talk to you about a basic 5-paragraph essay. The reason why I decided to do this lesson is because I have many students, and I've seen many students actually, that struggle on how to put together a 5-paragraph essay. And I understand it's a challenge. I understand sometimes can be complicated, but guess what? If you're willing to put the time and energy, you will be able to learn how to put together a basic 5-paragraph essay. Sometimes this essay is also called, and you may hear it like just the name that we have here, basic 5-paragraph essay. It is also called the academic essay and the 131 essay. You may hear all of that, those terms or concepts. Just remember, it's the same 5-paragraph essay. Now, what is the purpose of this lesson? Well, first of all, knowing how to write, knowing how to put together paragraphs, it's really important because you need it almost in every profession. If you go to the medical field, if you go and become an attorney, if you become a teacher, if you become any of those professions, you require to learn and know how to communicate effectively with other people. So it is an essential skill, or some people may call it art, as it ensures effective business communication. It is also a good way to communicate when you are an employee. Remember, you have to write a report, you have to write notes many times in different jobs, so it is really important that you have a good handle of how to write well. It also creates credibility and respect. Your peers will respect you when you're a good writer, as they know that you have given your time in order to learn on how to put together a good paragraph or a good explanation. Also, if you like to keep good records, well, guess what? You need to use writing skills. Writing helps you move on to higher education too. This is really important because if you're in high school, obviously your teachers will ask you, or are asking you already, on how to, or basically to write an essay or to do your homework and complete it in a well-structured manner with good paragraph, good introductions, and good conclusions. Well, you need this particular skill in order to do well at a higher education level. For example, if you go to a 2-year college, if you go to a university, you are required to know how to read essays as well as write good essays. So it is worth it if you learn this skill right now. You actually can become influential if you're a good writer. You may decide to become a writer yourself, and obviously learning how to write is fundamental for almost anything we do in life now. So let's begin. First of all, I wanted to throw this quote here because I feel it's really, or it captures the essence of being a good writer. And the quote says, painters need a brush, musicians need notes, and writers need words. So if you're a painter, you need your brush. You need to know how to use that brush. You need to know how to combine colors. If you're a musician, you need to know how to play those notes. You need to capture the essence of those notes so that you can deliver them via music and people can enjoy your music. And the same thing, carefully selected words are tools that writers use to basically get the attention of people, get the respect of people. Again, writing becomes really important as you move on in life. Now, what is an essay? Well, an essay can have many purposes, but the basic structure is the same no matter what. You may be writing an essay to argue for a particular point or view, or to explain the steps necessary to complete a task. Either way, your essay will have the same basic format. If you follow a few simple steps, you will find that the essay almost writes itself. You will be responsible only for supplying the ideas. And how do you get these ideas? Guess what? This is where many other skills come into play. For example, research skills. You need to look at books. You need to research online. You need to look at journals. And you need to gather the facts. And on top of the facts, you need to gather evidence too. So this is all part of an essay. Remember, good writers will always do their homework. This means they will always do their research in order to put together an essay that will capture the attention of many people. The idea here is that you need to capture the attention of people. You cannot just come out of the blues and put anything out there. You have to be able to capture the attention of the reader. That is actually the fundamental component of an essay, how well you capture the attention of your readers. In this case, it may be your teachers, it may be your employees, it may be your employer, it may be just a regular email that you send in to a friend. So writing is fundamental to your academic success, as well as your personal life success, as well as your success at any profession that you may decide to go into. A 5-paragraph essay basically has the following information here. You have an introduction. This is basically your background information. And you have a thesis statement. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about this as we move on. Now, you also have what we call a topic sentence for your first body paragraph. The topic sentence has to connect to your thesis. And obviously, you need a second paragraph. Again, you need a topic sentence, which is the first sentence of that paragraph. And that sentence needs to connect to your background information, to your thesis sentence. And you have a third body paragraph. It's the same structure. You also need that topic sentence. Again, the topic sentence is that first sentence that makes the connection to your introduction, to your thesis, to your background information. And finally, you have a conclusion. So basically, almost when at school you're asked to, especially in high school, you're asked to write an essay, they're basically talking about a 5-paragraph essay, unless your teacher actually tells you that it's a different type of essay. You may do a 4-body paragraph essay, whatever the teacher may request from you, but the normal basically way of approaching this is writing an introduction, a 3-body paragraph, and your conclusion. And right here, I also added a little bit more information on another format, or a more informative way of presenting you how to write an essay. For example, here, same thing, you have an introduction, and in this case, it's about the topic is about stress. So you have the definition of stress, you have the views of stress, you have general categories of stressors, you have consequences of stress. If you see point number 2, you will see that basically the paragraph in this case, because this will be your second paragraph, is going to talk about the views of stress. If you see that, you go back to your introduction, you basically see that you have views of stress there. Your second body paragraph, which is point B, it's the categories of stress basically. And again, if you go back to the introduction, you see there the word categories of stressors. And for paragraph number 4, which is point C, you can see that it goes again to the introduction and the consequences of stress, and you see all of the points that are made there in between there. You need to at least provide obviously all the relevant information. You need to have your evidence there. My best suggestion is for you to again make an outline before you start writing your essay, just like I'm showing you right now, and go off of that outline. Don't just throw yourself randomly out there and try to put together an essay, because you're probably not going to be very successful. And in this case, you need a conclusion again, and the conclusion is a summary of points, personal conclusions basically. All right, so moving on. What is an introduction of an essay? This is, again, the introduction. It's like fundamental. You just cannot get the attention of your readers. You cannot get the attention of your teachers. You cannot get the attention of your boss or your employees if you do not put together a good introduction. And a good introduction basically consists of a hook. What do I mean by a hook? It's an attention getter. It's some information that captures the imagination of the reader, that captures the attention of the reader. And once you have done this, the reader will be excited, the reader will be happy, the reader will be glad to actually read your essay. So in an introduction, you give background information of your subject. It introduces the reader to a topic. For example, on the previous slide, let me go back really quickly. Your attention getter is here is the definition of stress. And then you obviously go into the views of stress, the categories of stress, the consequences of stress. And in this particular case, if you're talking about stress, you need to come up with a creative hook that will get the attention of the reader. So what should you include? Well, you have to really do your homework, and you really have to take your notes, use your notes, and start planning what would make a good introduction. Is it going to be boring? And just kind of put yourself in the position. If I read this, am I going to be happy to read this? Am I going to be excited to read this? Or am I going to be bored to death? I'm sure that you want to be happy about reading something. And as a matter of fact, when the reader, in this case, when the reader is excited about your writing or your topic, they will read it gladly, and they will give you credit if you have taken the time to be a good writer. Now, what is a thesis? By the way, a thesis statement goes, like we mentioned before, in the introduction, in your first paragraph. Well, the thesis is basically, that particular sentence or sentences that laid out or point out what you will be talking about. For example, if you're gonna be talking about, again, stress, you need to make sure that you focus on certain parts of stress, and make sure you have at least 3 different things related to stress. Once you have that information, you write it down. Again, your thesis statement will determine or provide a whole bunch of information to the readers. So make sure that you understand what a thesis statement is. And I'm just gonna kind of read what it says here. So a thesis is your paper boiled down into one specific sentence. It should have 3 points specifically laid out in the order you want to discuss them. Just like we saw in the previous example of stress, it had 3 different points. And let me give you an example here. Dogs are great because they help owners get exercise and are loyal and friendly. So there's an excellent, actually, thesis statement. But if you use this particular thesis statement, the paper should follow that same format in order that you have that thesis statement. For example, the first paragraph should be about dogs helping owners get exercise. The second paragraph should be about dogs being loyal. And the third paragraph should be about dogs being friendly. You see that each paragraph is divided according to the topics that you're discussing in your thesis statement. You should be able to transition smoothly between paragraphs, meaning that you want to be able, like especially the first paragraph, you want to be able to connect it to the thesis statement. And then you provide evidence for what you're claiming. If you're claiming that the dogs, in this case, help owners get exercise, well, how are you going to prove that point? Do you have a dog? Does your family have a dog? Does a friend have a dog? Does a neighbor have a dog? So what have you seen that makes you think that the dogs help owners get exercise? I don't know. You tell me. Now, moving on, each paragraph should begin with a topic sentence, which we've been talking about so much already. So make sure that your topic sentence is always there. Again, this topic sentence introduces you to the rest of that body paragraph. And right here we have we're going to be talking about what is a topic sentence. In this case, a topic sentence is sort of like a thesis, a mini thesis, I would say. It is your paragraph boiled down into one sentence. It summarizes one thesis point and should correspond clearly to the thesis. Now, this first sentence has to relate to everything else that you talk on that paragraph. You have to provide evidence there, at least 2 points to provide that confirm what you're claiming. Do not go off topic here and start talking about something else. For example, if you're talking about dogs in that first paragraph and dogs being like good for people to do exercise, you cannot just go ahead and talk about donkeys or anything like that. You have to stay focused on that thesis, mini thesis that you have to introduce your paragraph. Now, if we use the example thesis from the previous slide, a good topic sentence for the first paragraph should be something like this. Because dogs need to be taken for walks, they provide a fun, safe way for owners to get exercise. So that would be like the first sentence, and then you expand on that. How does the dog provide, the opportunity for the owner to exercise or to go out? I know this example is a little maybe not on the best side, but it brings a point in a clear, concise way. Now, what about the points that you are making? Well, on each body paragraph, you need to have at least 2 points you can use. Now, each point should support the topic sentence of your paragraph. And it has to be this way because you're telling the reader, hey, I'm claiming that the dogs are helpful for pet owners, in this case, dog owners, to get exercise. Well, again, how do you know that? Do you have a dog? Do you yourself can tell the reader why that is true? Or does your family have a dog? Can your family tell the reader, or have you seen basically in this case, your family go out and get a good exercise with their dog? So all of this has to make sense. Again, you have 2 points minimum that you have to make in your or in each of your paragraphs. Remember, gather the information, do your research, make sure you put together an outline how you will present your information to your teacher. Now, what is a conclusion like? Well, a conclusion is basically not meant to introduce new information. If you introduce new information in a conclusion, you will actually lose the reader, because the reader has been reading about a certain topic, and then in your conclusion you're talking about another topic. So it is really important, and it has to be really important, that you do not introduce new information, but instead you use existing ideas. You're not basically copying and pasting from your introduction or from your body paragraph, but you are actually paraphrasing what you have written in your introduction, your 3 body paragraph. And just be careful on this, okay? Also, don't copy and paste from your paper or from anywhere. Wrap up your ideas in a new way. The readers do not want to read the same sentence over and over again, but instead they want you to remind them of what you've been saying and what your point is, but in a new way, with new words. Don't just wrap up with dogs make great pets, because no, you know what, you'll get your readers to not think the best of your writing skills. Instead, say something like, people ought to consider getting dogs. Not only are dogs loving, caring, and loyal, but they are good with people and provide a healthy pastime for their owners. Now, again, this is an example. You have different topics that you will be writing for your teachers or at work. But this gives you an idea on how to basically be a successful writer. Remember, successful writers take their time. Successful writers do their research. Successful writers gather facts. Successful writers gather evidence. Once they have all of that information, they put it together in the form of an essay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about editing. This is really important because we all make mistakes. We all make, punctuation errors, and spelling errors. So therefore, it is really important that you take the time after you're done with your 5-paragraph essay, or if it's a 6-7 paragraph essay, you need to be very careful. You need to check for spelling. You need to check for grammar. You need to read your essay a couple of times. Don't just write it at once and then submit it to your teacher. If possible, if you have a friend or a family member, have them read it for you, because many times a friend, a family member, after they read it, they may get or capture things that you did not see originally. So it's always good to have somebody else read your essay before you submit it to your teachers in this case. Now, make sure each sentence has a subject. Make sure your subject and verbs agree with each other. Check the verb tenses of each sentence. Make sure that each sentence makes sense. If you see a sentence that really doesn't make sense, hey, change it. That's why you're editing your essay. Once you know that your essay is good to go, hey, submit it to your teacher. Most likely you're gonna get an A. As an educator, I enjoy reading essay that I see students put in the time. I see students put in the energies. I see they done their research. I see they provide all the evidence. And this is really important, again, as you move on in life, for you to take the time to become a good writer. Now, finally, I want to end with a topic that I know many of us have done it before. I remember when I was in high school, sometimes I would look at my friend's paper and I may copy, some of his writing, which was really bad. By the way, I don't encourage you to do this, because this is called cheating. This is called being dishonest. But as you move on in life, you learn that having this particular art, I would say, of being a good writer, or this particular skill of being a good writer, only makes you a better person, a better communicator. And it's just a fact of life. You need to know how to write. But getting back to this particular last slide, plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Well, it's using someone's words or ideas and presenting those ideas as your own, which is being dishonest, which is not helping you actually be a good writer, because you are actually copying the words, the sentences, the ideas of another person. So be creative, be original. Sometimes we read essays, and believe me, we do have ways to check if a student has copied from straight copy, basically sentences from internet, from books. So it's really important that you stay true to yourself, and it's okay to use the internet. It's okay to use books. It's okay to use journals. It's okay to use magazines to do your research, but it's not okay to copy word for word. You have to read what is being said, and then you have to put it in your own words. And this way, you actually will get the respect of your teacher if you do this, rather than just coming in there and presenting a 5-paragraph essay to your teacher. And once your teacher starts reading it, he or she sees that it's mostly copied. You don't want that reputation for yourself or for anybody. Be honest with yourself first. Be honest with your teacher second. Be honest with the person or whoever wrote that article or on the internet or that book or that journal, and just give them credit for using their ideas. It is okay to read and acquire knowledge, but if you're using somebody else's ideas, you need to be honest and give that person credit. And in future lessons, I do want to go over on how to cite, on how to give credit to other people whose ideas are helping you put together a good essay. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope that you gained a lot. And if you want to continue watching future videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And you will be getting updates basically almost every week on different topics in reference to U.S. history, world history, African history, European history, Latin American history. So just stay tuned for that, and really enjoyed having you watch this presentation today. Talk to you soon.